it's well known that 2020 really put a hit on us with COVID cancels. We're still trying to climb out of that hole. What I've also discovered coming in, there are several small projects to add up to big things that need to get done at the park. I think with a little extra money coming in from you folks would help us get some of this accomplished. With the things we're changing, implementing, and now cutting with the fertilization, my goal is not to have to come back at the end of the year and say, we need emergency funds to make it through. I'm hoping as we get it quarterly with the changes we're doing and making, this money should sustain us to where we're not coming in emergency fourth quarter. Please help us. So we're just trying to plan ahead, budget ahead, be able to do the things we need to do that I've uncovered that needs done before we can open. So we're hoping that we can get this additional funding to help us get through.
And we were kind of talking amongst ourselves to, we funded $40,000 for the last how many years?
As long as I've been on the
So at
commission,
least 6, 7.
I think it's 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, we
and then
haven't.
Prior to that, there's been
Yeah,
no
from my understanding, there
increase.
hasn't been an increased request in years. Correct.
And as our representative, I mean, I sit on that CCAC board as a representative of this commission to make sure that they're spending money where they're supposed to be, that our investment is paying off. And I mean, I probably was the most vocal proponent for trying to increase the funding for them. Typically, the cycle runs the end of the year. They go through on their line of credit all winter. That's how they function with line of credit. So they're negative throughout the year, and then all it takes is 1 or 2 significant events, rain.
Correct.
Yeah.
That
We
was
had-
a weather related.
We had rain
Yeah.
every single day. It
Cancellation
was a
going into
mess.
COVID.
So, we've had numerous discussions at the CCAC board. I mean, the board had obviously agreed, hey, we want to increase our request for funding to the commission. So there's no personal gain for me saying, hey, but financially, they need the additional funds to continue to operate
And
long-term.
with, I mean, obviously, you guys are at 70% for the occupancy of the hotels, weekends.
We definitely do our share. Yeah.
So, and it's a significant amount of investment, but return on that investment. Again, we gain the occupancy tax, we're able to then contribute.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a cycle.
Correct. Yeah. And as we grow, as we bring in different tournaments, bigger tournaments, we've got a couple new tournaments this year that should be bigger, even help the CVB even more. I went to the CVB hotel
Quarterly.
meeting, discussed and sat down with all the local hotel people and the CVB people. I've reached out to, other avenues to try to generate our own income, to not have to come to you guys in dire needs as much. But this definitely would help us get a jump start on what we need to get done. And I'm joined by Brandon Kiefaber, who is our board president now.
So this is a 1-year commitment?
For now, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Any questions?
I don't have any other questions. So we need a motion if
I'll
somebody,
make a motion to approve it.
In it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Since John is attending remotely, we do need all the votes to be roll call vote. So if
Okay.
you could roll call this vote and then go back to your first motion and do a
Yes.
roll call on that as well.
okay,
So that way this will be.
So I need to do a roll call?
yeah. So
Okay.
everybody's got to, do you want to state our name or just?
Okay. You want to start, John?
Yes, John Hall.
Mark Skibowski, yes?
Jessica Harmon, yes. Hartman, yes.
And that will be for the capital expenses for $40,000. And now let's take a look at the operational expenses for the $80,000. John?
John Hall, yes.
Mark Skibowski, yes?
Jessica Harmon, yes.
Kathy Ray, yes.
Jessica Hartman, yes.
Thank you, guys. I greatly appreciate that.
Thanks, John.
Good deal, thanks.
Yep. Any other questions? Thank you.
Got it, since he's, okay, got it. Okay, next up, we have Mark with Chautauqua Policy. Hi, Mark.
Good morning. My name again is Mark Connect. I'm the president of Chautauqua Wawasee, and we're asking for help on two events that we have coming up this summer. The first we're calling Patriots Day, which is the weekend before the July 4th Independence Day celebration. And we're bringing a guy named J.D. Sutton, who is world-renowned in terms of impersonating Thomas Jefferson. And he has a whole program that he does. We had Abe Lincoln last year for the first time that we did this. Next year, we'll have another patriot, perhaps George Washington or Abigail Adams or somebody. But in any event, it is held early in the day, and then later in that same day is the Patriotic Pops concert that's going to be in Oakwood on the lawn. This event is going to be in the Wawasee High School, and they did a really good job for us last year. So we're going to spend $1,250 with the Visit Indiana newsletter. They have a newsletter that goes out monthly to about 90,000 subscribers. And we have purchased the featured event. So we're the first thing that pops up on this newsletter. So hopefully that'll give us good exposure. Pardon?
County to bring people in from outside the county. Okay.
So how many people are going to attend? Last year with Abe Lincoln, we had a little over 100. This year, you know, this being the second year, we expect to improve on that. And, but again, it's hard to predict how many people are going to attend, how many are going to stay overnight. The fact that the Pops concert is later in the day, we would think, and that ends at 9:30, you know, driving somewhere after 9:30 is, you know, I think people will be inclined to, those that are coming from a distance will be inclined to stay. Any questions on that before I go to the second one? So the art festival, we're holding it a week earlier this year. It's going to be on May 28th, which is the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend. That Sunday, we're going to have our Taps Across the Water at Dusk event, which last year really made a big impact. We had 30 buglers sprinkled around Syracuse, Papakichi, and Lake Wawasee, the different shores, all playing in synchrony at 9:08, and we had tremendous feedback, people telling us it was really meaningful for them. So we've got more people coming for that. But back to the art festival. So that's the day before. This is the 8th year that we've had this event. We typically get between 300 and 400 depending on the weather. And again, we're going to get the featured ad. We're trying to broaden our reach. And you know, the ad that you approved in the directory, the Visit Indiana directory, which, by the way, they're late in publishing it, but the online version of that, we've gotten more than 500 requests for our brochure. And about 48% of those are from Indiana. I looked through the list and could only find one or two that I thought were Kosciuszko County.
Good.
So I thought, well, that's a good thing. But
That's real good.
Ohio, Indiana, we're getting some from overseas, which doesn't make any sense, but Pakistan, and I don't think
Travel destination.
any of that. So we're actually going to publish our first ever newsletter on March 13th. And so we're gathering emails of people that we can continually communicate with and make them aware of our events. So I think I've got your names on the list. So if you get one, there is an opportunity to unsubscribe, but I hope you won't. So any questions on either of those? John?
I don't have any questions. You know, the only thing that kind of sticks out at me is it's $1,250 and we're paying 1,000 of it. My thought would be is what is the what is Chautauqua doing as far as their side on the advertising? What other things are you doing to advertise?
We typically are advertising in the Fort Wayne newspaper. We're in Ink-Free News. We're going to be a month long for the Purdue event. The Pilot News, which reaches both Bremen and Rochester, we're advertising there. We do all press releases to Indianapolis and every newspaper you could think of in this area. So, you know, we're doing everything we can, we think, to get the word out.
Sure.
And the TAPS event, I know, will be WNIT from South Bend. Last year, they came down and did a segment on their Michiana experience. Are going to come down again this year, so working hard at it.
Sure. I'd make a motion, we accept both, so put the two, if we can do that, so we don't have to have a roll call twice, to accept both grants.
Second, we'll go ahead and do roll call. We're going to combine them for $1,000 total. You want to go ahead and start with you, John?
Don Hall, yes.
Mark Skibowski, yes?
Yes.
Jessica Harmon, yes. Jessica Hartman, yes.
Okay,
Thank you all.
you're
Appreciate it.
welcome.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
day.
Mark. I appreciate it. So we
Thank you,
have
Mark.
by roll call.
Hello. Good morning.
Okay, so basically, I'm just here representing the Pearson Chamber of Commerce, looking to receive grants for a few of our upcoming events for our 2022 season. Do you want me to like go down the line individually, or how would you like to proceed?
How about summarize?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
summarize.
Well, basically, this is like a rundown of different activities that Pearson's trying to do. We're a small town, small community, but we really try to like put ourselves out there to provide, you know, things that people would come from near and far to attend for, you know, happy family outings or couples trips and, you know, individual day trip type of things. But we've got kind of a variety with our motorcycle show, our Heirloom Tomato Festival. We've got a spring event that we're starting. This will be our second year beginning that. We have our Pearson Days Festival, and then our Primitive Show that goes on at the end of the year. Overall, different ones of these have people coming from different areas. Our Tomato Festival has had a vendor come last year from New Mexico and stayed all week. So that was really great. They kind of came and spent time in our community and out of the community, but stayed here while they were a vendor for the Tomato Festival. Our Primitive Show, that we have a lot of vendors that stay locally because with setup being the night before and then an early morning, a lot of vendors come in, they set up, stay in hotels, and then, you know, tear down, and then some of them even stay after just so that then they don't have the, you know, okay, well, now I'm gonna drag all this home and whatever. So we sometimes get multiple night stays through that. Pearson Days Festival, kind of the same thing with vendors, that we do have some that stay. But also, especially during the summer, because there's so many local community events like going on in Kosciuszko County and further out, that I think sometimes we get people who come and they come to Pearson Days and then they hop over to another town doing another event. So I think that overall, we get a lot of people from near and far coming to our events, and we're excited to keep going with those, start up the new spring event to try to bring a new idea and a new time of year to our town.
So what would you think maybe your percentage outside the county that you pull to the events? Do you have any idea?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. Do you have? I mean, I would say probably somewhere between 30 and 50% maybe. I mean, not 100%, and it does vary based on events. Like our Primitive Show, I would say would be maybe greater than 50%, just because it's such a niche market that, you can't go to many other events and get that type of like crafting event. So I know that that event, we bring people from like further away, like vendors obviously travel for, I think that we've got some of them who travel for like 4 hours pretty regularly. Like we've got several from like Illinois, Ohio area. And then like buyers coming from, further south, further north, kind of stretched out just because it's such a specific, special thing. Our tomato festival kind of, it's popular like blueberry festival and apple festival and all of those things that like people come just because it's like a heritage, community, local type festival. So I think that our tomato festival kind of brings another group of people who like those types of art fairs, vegetable, farmers market type events.
Is them all the same at the same time? Do you do different advertisements for each event?
We typically do different advertisements for each event, but I'm hoping possibly this year to begin with our general advertising fund, doing like a year calendar in a couple of different like newspaper or magazine type things that would show like our whole year's events, just because if somebody's trying to decide, oh, I want to make a trip over to Pearson, Indiana and spend some time there, also check out Winona Lake, check out Warsaw, check out, our local area, then that way they can see, oh, well, this is going on here and then that's going on this weekend, so we'll go that week and we can do this and we can do this, rather than only in advertising each individual one, which then you might miss people because they would just have something going on during that event. So typically separately, but I'd like to try to start combining some of those also.
Something too, like with the CVB, maybe you could get on a calendar and, are you?
Yes, I realized as I was filling out for all of these that they have their calendar online, and so I'm going to be submitting that to utilize that, just because anybody who's picking up the visitor's guide that gets online to check out the calendar, easy. So, yeah.
So my question would relate to, what are you doing for advertising? Because I mean, there's 8 grant requests, $4,000.
Yeah.
Where are you going to spend that money?
Yeah,
Because in reading the grant, it all says any proceeds go to the general fund.
Basically, usually proceeds all go towards the next year. However, if there's proceeds, then that would just go into the general fund to help wherever, if we're lacking for the Tomato Festival Fund, then it could go to help support that. Or if we're wanting to grow our spring event, I believe that I had written in there that I'd like to at some point make that a bigger event where we could actually have vendor space. Maybe at some point, like do the whole big white tent thing with heaters if need be and different things like that. Something like that would be a good draw for people coming to shop, but also a good draw for vendors, knowing that they have something that's closed up, heated, if it's cold in the springtime and all that stuff. And proceeds would go towards funding things like that in our future, just to kind of give us that blanket to grow and not be stuck. Well, this works every year, so let's just do this. This would kind of, any of those proceeds can kind of help go to those dreams or ambitions that we have for following years. But as far as advertising, we do like Fort Wayne newspapers and Marion, like I'm trying to think of all of the cities. They've like combined all of their newspaper companies down in the Marion area. So I know that we do a bracket of them down that way. I'm hoping to maybe start reaching out into the Indianapolis area, just because I know that we get a lot of travelers and people who have like second homes at the lakes around here, and I think that that would be a really great way to utilize Indianapolis newspapers. And then as well as going maybe a bit further north to check out some of them that are, Michigan City area and different things, that when people are traveling to, the southern part of Lake Michigan, that, they would pick up a local newspaper and see events that are going on in our town. So, yeah.
I noticed you also had billboards. Do you have a plan or an agreement with somebody for billboards? I'm trying to help you here.
Yeah, we do. We've got a couple of billboards. I believe all of our billboards are in Pearson. on US 30. So they are kind of like to help people see when they're driving through because we're there, but you don't see, we don't have like a big courthouse that stands out when people are driving by. So we are kind of like off of that little path there. So I don't know, we have not discussed getting billboards elsewhere at this point. But I mean, it's something that we could always discuss if it's something that seems like it would be a benefit for our town.
I think it makes sense. What we're trying to do is
Yeah.
drive people to
Yeah,
not
for sure,
advertise
for
within the
sure.
county.
Yeah.
And it's not just advertising, but the grants that you've got are publicity grants.
Yeah,
So technically,
absolutely.
those dollars need to be spent
Yeah,
outside
yeah,
of the
absolutely,
community.
absolutely. And a billboard definitely, I mean, I would not be opposed to putting up a billboard in a different area or different community just to promote our town, promote, have a couple of our big events listed between, Pearson Days and the Tomato Festival and the Primitive Show. I think that those are, at this point, our big three. But I'd eventually like to see our spring event be right there with them. So yeah, I do think that, I mean, that would be a logical thought process.
General fund's 500, so I would probably think about maybe 1,500 to 2,000, maybe.
My recommendation, and this is not a motion, this I guess is discussion amongst us, would be to, provide dollars for general advertising in a specific amount. I think 4,000 is too much, not
Yes.
knowing what it's gonna be spent on. Again, that's just my take on it, but, so I was thinking along the same lines. 1,500, 2,000 for advertising. And then an accounting of what we did with that advertising, where did it go? So when we
We did
approved the.
submit all of our documentation from the last few years. I don't remember how many years we've actually been receiving this.
We definitely do magazines with the Primitive Show. It goes into different magazines. The Heirloom Tomato Festival, we advertise many times with that, definitely in the surrounding counties and reaching out. I mean, we've had people, again, we had a vendor from New Mexico this last year that came and spent all week here, which is wonderful. And we've had people from New York City come and do the 5K. They happened to be in the Goshen area. They seen an advertisement there, and they came down and ran the 5K. So, yes, a lot of our advertising, the money that we turn in for this is from outside the county advertising.
And I'm sorry if I'm not explaining that well enough.
That's okay.
This is
You're
my
doing fine.
first
That's okay.
year being
doing
president
fine.
for our chamber. And so a lot of these things, I have sat back and seen this as a member of our chamber, but I have not been the one turning in the paperwork
Sure.
to you to say, oh yes, this is the newspaper, this is the newspaper, this is the newspaper, this is the book, this is the magazine. But we do spread that far and wide. And I mean, I can always provide a list for you, after the fact. I know that in years past, like we have turned in all of that to you for reimbursements, to be able to go down the list and see all of the communities and areas that we've been advertising with. My idea of expanding that is literally to expand that to more areas further than what we've already been reaching.
So I would make a motion to approve 2,000 for general advertising outside of the county for Pearston. They've provided or applied for 8 grants, and it would be 2,000 that could be spread across those 8 grants. There's my motion.
Second. Yes. John Hall, yes.
Mark Skibowski, yes.
Jessica Harmon, yes.
Kathy Ray, yes.
Jessica.
Thank you, ladies.
Very good.
Next,
Thanks.
we have Winona Lake Limitless Park with Holly.
Hello.
I'm Holly Hummich. I'm the director of the Winona Lake Limitless Park. Okay, we've got some other people with me. So if you're not aware, the mission of Winona Lake Limitless Park is to implement design and infrastructure that go beyond minimal ADA guidelines. We've already gotten a start on the playground. It's not complete. However, we have, in our master plan, there's no barrier-free water access. So that is what we have given in our proposal to you, is barrier-free water access that would include wheelchair access to the lake, in addition to a wheelchair, water wheels wheelchair. And the biggest component of that, though, is the ADA canoe and kayak launch. So we have partnered with Kiwanis. Jim Molbash is here representing them as well. If you want to speak to how our partnership came.
Oh, on a vacation, I saw this kayak launch facility. Was stuck in Holland, Michigan for a couple of days, and I watched as people went and used this facility. It's unique because it is something that even those of us who have fewer skills and maybe, well, are disabled in some way, can still use this launch for getting your kayak or your canoe with you in it in the water. I talked with a fellow there as I was watching people go back and forth, and he says, I'm 78 years old. I love kayaking, but I can't do it anymore. I can't get into the boat. With this facility, he was able to come there and get back into kayaking that he never could do in the last few years. So I was just blown away. I thought it was great. Fast forward then to, we got to talking about a project for our Kiwanis Club, a community project. What could we do to improve the community? And I just mentioned this kayak launch, and some of our members kind of glommed onto that and said, that's a great idea. Maybe we should talk with the Limitless Park. We did, and when we did, we found that not only did they want it, they actually had this in their plan, and so it was a very synergistic connection. So.
Want to say anything to it yet? Okay, so the canoe and kayak launch isn't just for those that are disabled. From youth to veterans, it provides stabilization for easy lake access. So that's the primary goal.
Will this launch be free to the public or will you be charging?
Absolutely, no, it'll be free to the public.
I believe from the Kiwanis standpoint, I'm Joni Truex, I serve on the county council, but I just wanted, I'm also a Kiwanian and a past president, but I just wanted to speak to the fact that the hope and dream of Kiwanis and the Limitless Park is to bring people to our community, people who have no way to experience life on the lake because they can't access the lake. I personally have a real hard time getting in a canoe because of balance issues. So this would be a dream come true for me and my husband because we would be able to access the lake. But it would draw people, I believe, from outside our county to stay in our community, to eat in our restaurants, to stay in our hotels, because it's a unique opportunity. Not only do they have Limitless Park, which kudos for what you've done with that, that's fabulous, but this would add an additional. And Warsaw Kiwanis Club is very proud to partner with you and hope to do this. And we're hoping that you're willing to fund this so that we can continue to raise funds. It's not an inexpensive project, and we're hoping to get the ball rolling. And then we plan to have fundraisers to help raise additional funds. And the Kiwanis Club of Warsaw has already agreed to support it by $10,000, which is a lot for our club, I'll just tell you. So. Thank you.
of additional fundraisers that you're talking about, do you have specifics on who your thought process is for that?
Sorry. Sure, I'll talk. Yes, I do. Basically, and this will become a surprise to you, but we had a meeting yesterday and somebody came up with a unique novel idea of actually selling decals, and we're hoping to write additional grants to purchase canoes and kayaks and then decal them with a kayak launching like a spaceship. Think of spaceships with all the smoke billowing out and the flames. A kayak launching with Kiwanis Club of Warsaw and however you want it to put it, Winona Lake Limitless Park or Winona Lake Park Department or whatever, on there and sell the decals. And we think that would help the public also buy into it and get ownership, and that would help. What? Okay, sorry, I thought you had a question, I was gonna go, okay. But anyway, we think that would be a good way for our members to be involved and also for the public to be involved. And there are opportunities for Kiwanis when we volunteer at different things that bring people into our community to also sell these decals. So that would have a reach beyond Kosciuszko County, which I know is very important and vital to what you do. And I commend you for what you do, by the way, so.
What would the timeline look like if we approved, if you got the funding to purchase, to go and start it this year? Would it be active this year? Or
Absolutely. We are looking at beginning construction process May 1 and then ribbon cutting July 2nd at the 4th of July Festival.
And I got to say, just looking at it, I mean, the amount requested or the total is 63, and we're asking the commission for half of that. So, you know, again, I think the Limitless Park is great. My grandson hangs out there, does, you know, I mean, I run the trails, I'm in and out of there. It gets a lot of use, and I think it's local members, you know, local community members. But I think we do, when we've got bigger events, there's a lot of activity in and out around Winona Lake. So, you know, again, I don't want to be penny pinching but we're funding half. So I would like to see some other contributions involved with funding it.
Can I address? Yep. Okay. When that was submitted, that was true. But now we're looking at going after some additional grants to purchase kayaks because they have kayaks, but. Okay, John, evidently you have a dog. I was like, whoa.
The dog wanted out.
That was good. Okay, so anyway, we are going to apply for additional grants. We have come up with yesterday's meeting. We did not have a chance to talk to her before today's meeting, unfortunately, but we've come up with 3 other grant funding sources that we're going to approach because the additional funds would help for additional kayaks, additional canoes, and ongoing maintenance, because there will be maintenance with this, of course, like anything, so that will incur expenses. And so I'd say we're not asking for half. From what we were talking yesterday, I'd say more like 30%. Is that right, Susie? Susie's our brains when it comes to that kind of thing, grants, so she's a professional.
Mark, I was looking at this.
Come on, Susie, you got to talk in the mic. Have to talk in the mic, it's a rule.
Hi, I'm Susie Light. So I would look at it this way. You are looking at maybe the construction cost and funding half of the construction cost, but the project is expanding beyond that. Thanks to the Warsaw Kiwanis and the Winona Lake Park Department.
Good job.
My name is Christy Myers. I'm the new park board president for Winona Lake Parks. I'm a transplant from Michigan where I was the parks director and a grant writer. So the place in Holland that Jim referred to, I was in on that project. At the beginning, it was just a community thing. The amount of advertising that the Holland Parks and the city of Holland did in order to bring people in with their state parks and everything, it became so large. It was overused the first year, so then they are going to be adding additional. I think with the marketing plan that Holly has and the park board has put together at our park board meeting last night, that we will see an increase of people coming in. There's one of these in Fort Wayne, And the very first one started over in Michigan City, Mishawaka area. So this is the first thing in the county, and I truly believe that the money invested will come back into the community with people coming to stay, coming to see the village, coming to see the shops, use the restaurants. So I have seen it happen in Michigan, and I truly believe that it's going to happen here as well.
And is the town okay with the continuing support?
Yes.
We're advertising this during the construction to get the word out that we're going to have this specialty.
Yes.
Okay,
So
because
there has already been a media release on it about a month ago. And as we get going and as we work with the company that is building the Easy Dock for us and everything, probably every couple weeks, there'll be updates that show up on social media as well as
Okay.
within print to help everybody understand what is coming. And then on July 2nd, the village of Winona and the town of Winona gets very busy down there. So there'll be a lot to kick it off with. So.
Okay.
I was just going to say, we also look at putting an advertisement form, such as like a leaflet in the local hotels, just to advertise that this service is available as well.
Well, I would make a motion, we approve the grant in full. Changed my mind from where I came in, but I appreciate it. So there's my grant.
Appreciate all of the information.
yeah,
Yes.
I second it.
Okay. We'll go ahead and start.
John Hall, yes.
Mark Skibowski, yes.
Jessica Hartman, yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So we went ahead and done a roll call and approved the $30,000 for the Winona Lake Limitless.
Morning.
Good morning, Chuck. You want to start out with the motor purchase?
Yes, this is the ongoing request that we started a year ago. And John had asked the last meeting what the balance was on it. And I have that for you today. It's $74,568.26 is what the outstanding balance on that is. We're asking for two payments, of course, two quarterly payments, which is $77,0328 to cover us for the next two payments on that grant. We have quite a few expenses coming up. That's why we're continuing to ask for assistance on this particular grant. Of course, we're looking at pretty big fuel bill this year too. We go through about 1,200 gallon of fuel a year. So at today's prices, you know, that's going to put quite a burden on the team. So that's a bill that we have to come up with the money, you know. So the assistance in helping to pay for the motors is, you know, greatly appreciated. So that's, you know, pretty much that grant. I don't know if you have any questions on that one or.
No, I'd make a motion to approve the motor purchase grant as requested.
Second.
Okay, go ahead and have a roll call. Start with you, John.
John Hall, yes.
Mark Skibowski, yes.
Jessica Harmon, yes.
We did approve the motor purchase for $7,703.28. Want to go ahead and move on to the Scores Building?
Yes, as I think all of you are aware, we're hosting the Division I Nationals again in '23. And because of that, we're going to have to make some more site improvements. We got a lot done in 2019 prior to. One of the things that we discovered in 2019 is because of the extra traffic with having 14 teams moving equipment in and out. And I know you're familiar, Mark, with the area behind the bleachers. We don't have room there for a RV. Normally we park an RV there, we let the scorers use it, we hook it up to electricity where they can have air conditioning and all that and everything. So we had built a video production booth for that purpose. And the judges and the officials and scorers, they all said, it would be really nice when we come back if we had the same, type of booth there, because we had to put an RV over across, so they had a long way to move back and forth between the site and all the traffic and everything with the equipment trailers and stuff. So we'll provide the labor. We're only asking for money to cover the cost of it. And like I said, we have quite a few expenses that are upcoming. Is the reason that we're asking for help with this one. We have about $20,000 that we have to put into the boat ramp to make some improvements there. Some concerns that came up from the last tournament. Wasn't enough area on the boat ramp to get all the boats in and out at the same time to keep the tournament flowing. So that grant, the price of the materials is right at $6,500. And so that's what we're asking for. And I did bring, if you want a copy of it, I did bring and what we did was we made a materials list, and then Randy, Patrick, our president, sit down and got prices on everything, on all the materials. And so that's what, at that time, at the first of, or the end of February, that's what the prices on the materials were. So, and, it would help a great deal if we can get this in. It was mentioned at the fall meeting in the bidding process that it should be moved to a 3-year rotation, basically excluding other bids, which wouldn't be bad because that would mean we would get it every 3 years. And then we've also gained a large amount of support over the winter in that direction from Janesville. They've been in contact with us, and they're really on board with us hosting it every 3rd year. And being the largest team out there, they have a lot of influence, to help get that done. It could be possible that there would be a team from Iowa or even Florida that would bid on it. Unlikely that they would get it. I'm familiar with the Iowa site. I don't see that happening. And then Florida is just too far away to all the northern teams to travel that far for a nationals tournament. So it looks like that we are going to be on a 3-year rotation. We will have this tournament every 3 years. So the better we can improve the site, more appealing we can make it to the judges, the officials, and the other teams, the more likely that will continue.
So for me, and obviously you guys don't know, or not everybody on here knows, I used to ski with the Lake City Skiers. I mean, I did 20 years of show skiing, so a lot of the sites Chuck's talked about, I've skied at and been involved with. The only concern that I have really here, Chuck, is we've got an estimate for materials, but we don't have a site plan, a layout. What are we buying? What are we paying for? And I know it's going to be, we'll take care of it, it'll be good. I know you're not doing anything that we wouldn't necessarily approve, but I'm just not comfortable approving or even recommending that we approve without seeing this is where it's at, this is what it's going to look like, and how it's going to sit. And I appreciate the 3-year rotation, but that's not a done deal yet. So to make the investment and then not, for a scorer's table how often are you going to use it if you don't have that national tournament? I know you do the City of Lakes and you get regionals off and on, but it's a pretty large, I know you're doing all the labor, but without knowing exactly what it is and where it's going to go, I'm just not comfortable supporting paying for it.
Well, you know where the video booth is, right below?
I do.
The building would
There's a
be
committee,
exactly the same at the opposite end.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, we can get you we'd like to get it built this spring, you know, or over the course of the summer at the latest, because, you know, people look at it and they say, yeah, well, you're over a year out before this tournament happens. Well, there's a lot that's got to happen before that. And we depend on our members to do the labor at the site.
So my question is,
I can do
We meet
that.
in May. That's what my suggestion would be, yeah.
I can do
Okay.
that.
And then everybody will know what you're doing. Like I say, I'm very familiar with the site. I was
Correct.
one of those members out there busting my hump, putting the stuff
Right,
together.
right.
correct.
So, but everybody else would understand that as well.
What I'll do is I'll get Kevin, because he's pretty much the lead on construction, new construction stuff out there. And I'll get him to draw up, and then I'll also take some pictures of the video booth, because it would basically be this exact same thing.
Okay.
And then I'll get those submitted to
So
you.
for lack of motion, we don't have to do anything.
No, we're just going to table
Come
that.
back in
Then you'll
May.
come back in
Okay.
May. Okay?
You know, thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Chuck.
Good morning.
Right.
I'm happy to be here this morning to share information about our Tour de Lakes bicycle event and our request for approximately $2,300 for marketing. Tour de Lakes is a bicycle ride that goes through the hills and scenery around 8 lakes in Kosciuszko County. Between the lakes, participants can enjoy quaint small towns. The tour rides are 30K, 55K, and 100K in length. Along the way, there are sag stops for a quick and healthy snack, and followed by lunch at the community center. Tour de Lakes has been in existence for approximately 12 years. It is a major fundraiser for our Syracuse-Wawasee trails, and it truly is a unique event because of the scenery and the lakes. Participants can choose the distance they want to ride, which makes it some fun, and something is available for everyone. In 2021, we had a record year. We had 454 registrations and 398 attending. You compare that to our last ride, which was in 2019, we had 230 attending. So we almost doubled in 2021. We had various ages last year, from 6 to 88, and a combination of all kinds of types of bicycles. The event includes the sag stops, which is kind of like a rest stop for the cyclist. And those sag stops are located at the public boat launch at Lake Wawasee, Dixie Park in North Webster, Trail House in Winona Lake, and the Tippy Golf Course in Leesburg. After the ride, our riders can enjoy some music, food, and entertainment at the community center. As we continue to grow our event, we try to improve our registration form so we can capture age, city, state, zip, et cetera. Some information regarding the registration from last year is that 363 riders were from the state of Indiana, of which 61 were from Kosciuszko County. And as we also continue to do a post survey for our riders, because we want to get feedback and also improve our event. And one of the questions we added this year was how far did they drive, because we kind of want to get a feel of that. The results were 7.2% were more than 4 hours, 30.1% was more than 2 hours, 24.1% was more than an hour, 13.3% was more than 30 minutes, and 25.3% was less than 30 minutes. And with people traveling, we're also looking at accommodations. Last year, we were able to reserve 10 rooms at Brook Point, and 8 were used. We've already reserved those 10 rooms again for this year, and I'm in the process of reaching out to hotels in Warsaw to see if they can book some rooms and listing that on our website as well. But marketing continues to be one of our biggest expenses. We are targeting all the bicycle calendars, so we're on those, so we have our target audience. We're also on the Ohio Bicycle Event Calendar. This year, we opted to also try an ad in the Bicycle Indiana Resource Guide, and it reaches 6,000 households and has 10,000 followers on social media. And last year, we did a postcard, which we will continue this year. So the postcard kind of looked like this, and we had asked bike shops to put it in their store, and they could scan and get information about our ride. And then there was a letter on the back just explaining our event, et cetera. So we had success with that, so we want to continue to do that this year. And then extra copies of those, last year we provided for Fat and Skinny, so we're able to utilize our extra copies as well. The amounts are in the grant request were the $675 for the Bicycle Indiana Guide. The postcard was almost $1,250, and Facebook is still a good advertising avenue for us, and that's around $370 for the total of approximately about $2,300. Are there any questions?
I gotta say, thank you. That's all the specifics we're looking for in a grant. You covered exactly what we're looking for, so I'm making them, thank you. I'm
Yes.
making a motion to
Thank you.
approve this grant as presented.
I'll second that motion. Okay, we'll go.
John Hall, yes.
Mark Skibowski, yes?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we then approved the full 2292.96 for Syracuse Wawasee Trail. Go ahead and ask for the update from the CBB.
Good morning, Jennifer
morning.
Carnes on behalf of the CVB. As we are transitioning and trying to fill our executive director, you get to see me this morning. Fingers crossed, this will be the first and only time you have to see me. I will update you on that shortly. First, I want to kind of give you guys a chance to ask any questions on the financials. I'm going to apologize. I worked with Sandy over the last several days trying to get February squared away. We got the documents back from the tax filings and everything, so we just wanted to get the prior year shut down and just make sure everything for February is clean. But in that process, she accidentally sent you guys March P&L instead of February. I know she corrected that. I just want to make sure you guys didn't have any questions or issues. Okay.
I'm okay with what has been said. I'm good with
Okay.
that, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let me give you guys kind of a rundown, sorry, I have notes here, on what's going on in the CVB. So our marketing director, Laura, is currently promoting the 22-23 digital guide. We are feeling the effects of paper shortage. We're currently trying to figure out where we're gonna get some paper from. They're working on that though, but the jobs are also backed up at the printer. So even though we're accomplishing our deadline for content production, we are kind of on hold with our printers for paper copies. And we don't have any definitive answers yet there, although Sandy is working daily with them to figure out what that's looking like and what's going on there.
So will they publish the digital guide even though they haven't printed yet?
Yes, already up and on the website. They got all the content done. The digital guide is currently up, posted to the website, links directly to it. It's all there.
Okay.
It's just the paper guide that we're kind of
Jennifer, can I just
stalled
jump in
on.
real quick?
Yes.
We've also then communicated to all of our advertisers that there's
Yes. Yep. No, that's all right. That's perfect. Laura went ahead and sent out specific communications to the advertisers last week, advising them of this, apologizing. Not much we have actual control over with that respect, but we had no complaints. Everybody was very understanding, which we appreciate. So that was, as Doug mentioned, we wanted to make sure we're very clear with them on that. We did order 50,000. If you'll remember last year, we did 40 to cut back. We normally, in a regular year, do 60. So we kind of halved it because we did run out. We are out of the 40,000 that we ordered for the prior year. We went through those real quick. So 50,000 was the order. Those will be distributed toll road, magazine polybagging, including Indy Monthly and Travel Indiana, other visitor centers, Grace College, which is our big local user. Everybody's pretty familiar with that. And they also purchase an ad. And then they also go out locally in bulk and bulk mail requests. Last year, like I said, we did the 40,000 and ran out, so we upped it to 50. That's the visitor's guide. So again, just to reiterate, it is digital. We're just waiting on the print. Hopefully it's coming quickly. We're also making continuous updates to the website, building the strategic social media content with the intent to engage and grow that social media with new blogs. We're managing paid ad investments and are moving full swing into summer season. So that's where we're heading there. We are promoting the planning of overnight road trips, focusing on outdoor recreation, attractions, shopping, and dining. We also have the digital passports program launched on our website. If you'll remember, this was pertaining to Banwango. We have invested in Banwango. We have currently 3 passports. Residents and visitors alike can go to the homepage and view those passports. We have the Trailblazer Challenge passport with a prize if completed. We have the Sipping Trail Savings Passport, where they can earn savings at participating partners. And then we have the Public Art Trail Challenge Passport with a prize for completion. Those are our current 3. We are also working on the Taco Trail Savings Passport, which we got a lot of positive feedback from. People love that. It is almost completed and will be up soon. And we have another passport in the works, so continue to watch. I'm not going to give any spoilers on that, also because they didn't give me any spoilers on it yet, so I apologize. But this is our Engaged Kosciuszko County Passport Program, so we're excited about it. Again, I'm going to remind, just because this is public, it is free, completely free for users. There's no need to download anything. They just go to the website. So that's my little shout out there. Building related, just an update. We had the backdoor lock give out after 20 plus years. Locksmith was involved and it has been replaced. So otherwise, we're in good shape there. I don't have, normally, my understanding is Joel will give you guys an update on visitors coming into the building, and I apologize, that's the one thing I don't have from anyone. I haven't talked to Sandy about that, but hopefully the next meeting I'll have an update for you on that. So to kind of the pressing issue, we had wonderful candidates for our executive director search. The outpouring of love of this community is so impressive. I can't stress enough, just as a person being involved in the committee on the search myself, it was really nice to see how many people care about this community. It's so wonderful. We narrowed it down. We had some really impressive candidates with excellent experience, specifically in this position, and have narrowed it down, and we are hoping to extend an offer very soon. So fingers crossed, like I said, this should be the first and last time you have to see me out here. Other than that, that's my update for you guys. Any questions?
No
Thanks, you
questions. Our budget review is next month.
Budget review, we'll be
So,
sending you all that fun
Get
stuff.
us some stuff.
Yes, to look at.
We're gonna get you stuff.
We're trying to put it together ourselves, so we're ready for our May meeting as well. Again, the whole
Yeah.
idea behind that, So we've got funding approved, so we can start funding in January
Yes.
of the following year. So-
Absolutely. We are working through that. We did discuss it at our board meeting, so that we'll have something, not something, we will have numbers sending to you
Okay.
in advance. I know your May meeting, you want it a month before, we're gonna meet that easily.
Okay, and
So-
we're having some discussion. I've already worked some of those between
Okay.
what John and I did last year. I kind of just expanded it.
Okay.
And John, I did email that to you. I'm going to send it to the rest of the commission, and I have no problem sharing with you guys where we're thinking.
Okay.
So it doesn't, you come in and you ask for here, and we're thinking here. It doesn't need to
I
be
mean,
that
you know,
way.
I'm sitting here, I'll shoot high if I need to. No.
That's right. So we're actively working on ours. So if we
Perfect.
could get
Yep.
something from you guys, that'd be great.
We are too. We'll get with you guys and get that over to you promptly.
Okay.
Thank you. Perfect.
I think we
So
approved the
I think
minutes.
only you and John
We
and I
missed.
could probably vote on
I
that,
know.
'cause we were
The only ones that
who
can
were
vote
here,
in November
so-
one, I think, yes.
Yeah,
In this case, that's okay because two people, the term has ended. So even though it's not the majority, it's acceptable in this case.
Okay, so, John, do you want to,
Yes.
make a motion and then do? State your name and say if you approve the minutes. From November. Can he hear me? Did I lose you?
Oh, I'm here. What do you want me to do?
Then we'll move on to January's where we had more of us.
Okay.
so make a motion,
Make a
John.
motion.
I make a motion.
I'll second that.
Okay. John Hall, yes.
Mark Skibowski, yes.
Kathy Ray, yes. So we've approved the minutes from November.
All the minutes, okay.
And then January minutes. We're going to approve those, but there were more of us.
Yes, everybody was involved there. So anybody can make a motion on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Jessica made a motion.
And then,
I'll second it.
Mark seconded that. Let's do roll call. John, you can go first for January.
John Hall, yes.
Mark Skibowski, yes.
Jessica Harmon, yes.
Kathy Ray, yes. Jessica Hartman, yes. Okay, so we approved the minutes for November 10th and January 12th. Next, let's look at the review of the financials. Mark, do you want to read?
Yeah, I can. John, did
Yeah, Mark, you want to handle it?
Sure, I got it. So
Better?
the ending cash balance, we're actually in pretty good position as of February 28th, is 793. That is 100,000, 793,000. The receipts, you know, and it's always this time of year, what do we do? How much is going to come in this year? How much do we, set aside for rainy day? There's no formal number, but what do we do? Receipts have started out the year. If you compare, and I'm on the Kosciuszko County innkeeper's tax collections. So if you look, January of 21 was 21,000, January of 22 is 39,000. So definitely an improvement year over year. February was 48, we're at 72. So if that trend continues, I would expect our balance to continue. All of those things are reflective. So the good thing, I guess, from a receipt standpoint is the fact that the way that it's split now to where we see where the dollars are coming from, the Airbnb, the VRBOs, those things that they are required to collect is beneficial for the county, for all of us to have the funds available to grant. So, we had a lot of stuff to approve today. Michelle had sent out the grant appropriation when we started the day. Our budget is $237,930. We had previously awarded $60,000. There was $170,000 worth of grants requested today, which we approved many of them, if not all. So the remaining budget was $6,100. we're not going to have a lot of money to grant throughout the rest of the year. Based on what we've approved today, I mean, and they were significant.
They were.
Now, remember, we've got cash resources. If we can do specific things, we can always move funds. We just have to agree to that, you know, here. Motion needs to be made, hey, we want to transfer to whatever to fund those things. So it's not like, because we didn't think about it a year ago, we don't have the ability to make those changes or suggestions. So, you know, overall, we're in great shape. As I mentioned, John and I had, you know, been in contact about our budget process for next year. I'd had discussion in the past with Doug about how do we streamline our budget process, you know, to where it's not reinventing the wheel every time we come around to this. You know, for the CVB to function and operate, they need to have a good feeling that they're going to get you know, we don't control what comes in.
Correct.
Right, and that's always hard, so we try to keep some money set aside just in case to fund, but it's hard to manage a business when you don't know what is gonna come in the door. Now, again, I've led sales organizations. Salespeople never want to tell you what they're gonna bring in. They don't. You know, the accountants always put the cost as high as possible. The salespeople put their number as low as possible. Somehow or another, we've got to make it work. So just trying to streamline that budget process. So I will, in the meantime, in the interim, email you the spreadsheet that John and I put together last year, trying to put rhyme or reason to a statistical method to where hopefully it makes our budget process easier. Our overall budget for this year is $598, which our cash balance is going to increase dramatically if we don't spend that. You know, the funds that we received this year. If it continues, who knows if 2022 will or not. But we'll just make those adjustments on the fly. By no means, because we don't have, you know, significant dollars left to, you know, in our current budget, does not mean that we want to discourage people from coming and applying, because there are funds available. It would just need a motion on our part to move those funds. So that's the treasurer's report.
Thank you.
So we need a motion to accept the report.
Motion to accept. Can I make a motion?
You can.
I can make a motion to accept.
John Hall, yes.
Mark Skibowski, yes.
Jessica Harmon, yes.
Kathy Ray, yes.
Jessica Hartman, yes.
Okay, we show that.
Oh, good. She's going to tell us what changed. We talked about it last month, I know.
We did, she's got this.
We did. We talked about it pretty extensively in our January meeting, and I have received feedback from the council and the commissioners both. And in speaking with both of those boards and reviewing the duties, they accepted those responsibilities that I put out there on behalf of the auditor's office to perform with you. The only other change that we did add in there is a $500 annual fee just to help reimburse our office for supplies and other expenses for really material costs for what we'll do for you going forward. But this, we really tried to be inclusive and detailed enough so everybody understands the service that we'll provide for you.
Yeah, well, worth $500. Thank you very much. So I'll make a motion to approve
No
that.
problem.
I second that motion.
You're late, John. Okay, John, we'll go ahead and do roll call. You can start.
John Hall, yes.
Mark Skibowski, yes.
Jessica Harmon, yes.
The amendment to the interlocal agreement. Anything further?
The only thing that we'll need to do, we've amended that. We somehow or another have to figure out how we're going to transfer that $500, and it could be, maybe at this point, we go ahead and move those funds. Would that make sense, Michelle, or?
Yeah, what I'll do is I will email you that request, and if you approve via email, I will have that in writing.
Okay.
So with that, then we can process that transfer.
Okay.
And then going forward, just a slight correction, if you do want an additional appropriation for more grants. There's a little bit more of a process for that. We
Right.
will have to advertise it. You'll have to present it to council for approval. So I would just need about a month leeway for when you think that you're going to need that because of advertising purposes.
Sure.
But that is definitely something that we could do this year if you find yourself in that position.
Okay,
Thanks.
perfect. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
John Hall, yes.
Mark Skowowski, yes. All right.
Thank you so much.
Spreadsheet, the numbers guys, right? So it's funny, I did a 5-year average and it works out, it's been right, we had talked initially about 60%, and it was like 59.8%.
Right?
So what I'm presenting, and the number for you guys will be higher, and again, it's no secret, I'll send it to you, what I've got, we're predicting what our receipts gonna be. But it's definitely more than where you're at today.
Yeah.
And you can always come for specific other issues, other items.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Sure. Okay.
I appreciate everything that you're doing. You're doing such a
Hey, not a
fantastic
problem.
job.
And as far as the
Right.
copies, I usually have those printed out. It's done at that time as well. Okay, so I'll just add to that email. Here's your information. I also have it printed and available here, so you.
9:30.
Oh.
We're supposed to.
Okay, I will fix this. No, it's good. I just need to write it down. There's always one here, and you never know which one.
Sitting there making. There was a time when dollars just all.
Yeah.
I haven't even been in
a while.